So yeah, we're back, guys. We've got a very special guest with us today. Got Busy
Legendary.
Works Beats, the
Yes,
legend
sir.
himself,
I'm
man. We
honored.
wouldn't have a lot of us creators without Busy. So yeah, it's good to have you on, man. We appreciate your time.
I'll say, yeah, I'm just here because I was listening to you guys' conversations about just where the mind is. I know you guys probably feel frustrated. You're like, okay, do I have to be Mr. Beast in order to get my views up? Do I have to be, selling, giving out 1,000 free packs just to get people to buy my sound packs? It's like,
Mm,
how do we revive a plugin that we developed? What if a developer runs off? I don't know if Ocean ever felt that pain, but it's
Yeah.
painful
yeah.
when a developer kind of leaves you high and dry. So. I know Jay, you got, are you still working with Ryan and them or no?
Yeah, I'm still working with the Heat guys. So yeah, it's been good so far. It was just a good thing to do to be able to get some of my time back. Like I'm not sure if I'm sure you've got some people on the team, but when you're doing everything yourself, you feel a bit restricted because there's so many different things to do. So it was more just, okay, instead of hiring someone individually for each task, then have a team that already have the people there. So it's like having a team of like five people without having to hire five people. So I found it pretty good. What's your setup like now? Like, do you
Right,
have
that's smart.
direct employees, or have you got support networks, or how does it work?
Great question. And I'll go around the circle as I see it on the screen is that everybody teaches us how to scale, how to take one to
Hmm.
turn it into two to turn it into four, but nobody teaches us how to descale. The issue with scaling is we gain a lot of bloat. And what I mean by that is, okay, right now, I don't know LLB situation. Basically, when I first started, like my only expense was internet, phone, because I lived with my mother at the time, and then I moved to my own
Hmm.
place, so then rent, and then whatever other like menial thing there was. But the expenses were low,
Yeah.
and then the income was up here. Then over time, you start hiring a staff. Now that cost goes up, so your profit margin goes lower.
Hmm.
And now you're doing ads, which is a risk because you could either gain money or lose money on ads. You just never know. It might not come back right away. So
Yeah.
now it's the cost is up here, but the income may or may not compensate for the multiple of cost that goes up when you scale. So
Right.
your cost could go up four times, but it doesn't mean your income is going to go up four times. So scaling is this like balance act of how do you create that difference between cost and profit. So long
Hmm.
story short, we're all taught how to scale up, how to, like bring on the heats of the world or
Yeah.
bring on, other people to, a customer support team, but we're not taught how to descale. Like when the pandemic happened, Trump said it. I don't know if you guys keep up with American politics. Do you guys,
A
how
little
does that?
bit.
I
Only
saw that he
through
got in.
podcasts. Like they're always talking about it on the Rogan podcast, on Flagrant. Like I keep up, I feel like I keep up with politics through podcasts, really.
Y'all watch like Rogan and stuff, but
Hmm.
so in
Yeah.
short, Trump printed a bunch of money. It inflated our money. The value of the money went down. Like inflation's like fire. If I had a dollar bill, it's like lighting it on fire. And the more inflation you have, is the faster the fire like burns the money, basically. And long story short, in 2020, Americans' economy almost collapsed, and nobody's addressing that. Like banks have a negative balance. It's such a big thing, but we didn't feel the effects for 1 to 2 years. It's called the bullwhip effect. And without boring you guys to tears about the bullwhip effect, it's basically we all thought we were just doing crazy during the pandemic. I don't know when you guys felt like that big rush when, you have these huge months. Did you guys experience that?
Pandemic. Yeah. That's
Mhm.
when the channel started taking off through the pandemic.
Yeah. I feel like everyone on YouTube's views just,
Yeah.
well, in the production space anyway,
Type
everyone was
beats were
doing well
doing
at that
well.
time. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right, right.
yeah.
And I've never seen $10,000 from YouTube before. I was like, what is this? Just from YouTube. That's not even
Mm.
including all the business stuff on the other
Mm.
side. And
Yeah.
all I'm saying that to say is we thought that was the normal. It's like when you first start getting money, you're like, oh man, I'm making 10,000 this month. I'm gonna make 20 next month. And then you make 20 and then you're
Hmm.
like, oh freak, I'm gonna make 40 next month. And then you make 40, you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna make 80 next month. And then it goes down to 32. You're like, what happened? And
Yeah.
so basically in America, we had the bullwhip effect. So we were all high on this money supply. Number one rule is do not get high on your own supply and money supply. And we were all high. And so we went out, we bought the studio gear, we went out. Have you guys seen, I think Simon Serby, who got a studio? I know myself, I got a studio. I think Simon got a studio. Do you remember who else may have gotten a studio during that time? Maybe,
You did at one
Yeah,
point,
I did.
Ocean,
Kyle
didn't you?
Beats, Ocean,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, because we were like, oh, we got to invest the money because we're trying to think ahead. So we go out, we rent the studio, we buy all this gear, and basically with the bullwhip effect, I'll be short because it's kind of boring, is when you see a high demand, you're like, okay, I got to buy more inventory. So all of us Americans bought more inventory, but what happens was we couldn't import the goods to our ports, and we had the pandemic, so it was like all backed up. So basically, because it was all backed up, we ordered more, thinking that the demand would keep high. But once the pandemic resolved, it didn't have this high demand. So we overbought the inventory, is my point. And then there was no demand to match. It's called the bullwhip effect because we were high on our own supply. We were delusional, thinking that people would just continue this crazy spending. And so it affected all of us, not just, this person, that person. It affected every single person. And I'm saying all this to say, I kind of forgot the root point, but there was a point to me bringing all this up. Can somebody give me the root word as to where we started? Because I went on this long.
We were talking about like if
having a
if
team.
I'm
Having a team, yeah.
Right. So we're taught to scale up for the pandemic, making $100,000 a month, scale up, buy a big team, buy a customer support team. I was paying probably 12 to 1600 a month per person per customer support team. My support team was probably like 5 people, 6 people at that time. Now that was there's one thing when we're growing our businesses, we don't understand this because it's hard to really articulate, is the people that we hire, how much money do they make for our business? Like for every customer support person, are they really bringing in business? Are they really retaining people to buy more about our product? Maybe, but how do you measure that?
Yeah.
And so I'll answer this question quickly is when we scale up, we don't measure the ROI. So we're scaling up, not realizing that we're creating bloat, fat. It's like if I'm just, what's it called? OSHA might know the terms because you look buff, man. So I don't know what it's called, bulking, but it's really just you're getting. So it's like we think we're bulking, but we're really just getting fat. And so
it's like a dirty bulk. That's what we call it. A dirty bulk where you're just eating anything just to get big.
Right, ice cream, McDonald's. I don't know what you guys have in the UK, but, and then now it's time to run a race. Now it's the 100-yard dash, and now we're out of shape, and we're like, freak, we didn't cut the fat. It's too late. And so that's what happened to a lot of people in the last couple of years. And so we hear all these stories about people who've gone through mental health issues. It's because we didn't know. And so all I'm saying is nobody teaches us how to descale. How do you get rid of a team? Have you ever fired anybody? I have. I've fired multiple people to the point where I'm not emotional about it anymore. I remember I was so scared to fire an employee because he had a gun and I knew it. And I thought he would come to my house and shoot me if I fired him. So it's, and I didn't want to fire certain people because they were family members with other employees. And I thought I would just be causing chaos in my life. And I had to just face it and fire my first team and then fire the second team. And once I fired that first team, you get the endurance to fire everybody else. And it was a decision that saved, a big part of my business because I was too bloated. And so I don't think a lot of people talk about descaling. How do you go down without killing your business?
Yeah, no one really talks about that. You're right. Like all the books you read, everything you read about is just how do I get more? How do I scale? How do you employ the right people? But I definitely feel like that's something people aren't talking about enough. Because we've spoke about certain situations where we've maybe made X amount of money one month and then it's gone down the next month and then it's like, wait, are we spending like too much now? Like exactly what you said we had this money and then, okay, you buy all the equipment and it's like, right, is that going to last forever? Are we just having like a good few months? Because YouTube as well, it's so, or not even just YouTube, like business in general, I guess, like it's never like fully consistent every month, is it? It's like sometimes you like that, sometimes you like this, sometimes it might dip a little bit. So yeah, how do you prepare for that?
Yeah, and I can, I've gone through what you guys have gone through. So I feel the pain, honestly. Like Ocean revealed today how he lost the developer in that process. I will tell you one of the most heartbreaking things, not heartbreaking, that sounds emotional, is I had a plugin, I remember doing a month where it's 100K just off of like mostly software, 5K in a day off of software. It's like, it's mind blowing. And then you're like you don't realize you're relying on one person to control your entire income flow. So one thing, if you guys are developing software, one thing I would highly recommend is trying to do it yourself through a program called HICE, HISE. So Ocean, if you want to, make your plugin again, HICE is probably the best option because you don't need to learn all this code. It is a little difficult, like in the initial part, I'll be honest, to set it up. But once you kind of get somebody to help you set it up, then it's a matter of just implementing your ideas. That
Yeah.
saved me. Like if it wasn't for highs, I'd be, because I'll tell you guys behind the scenes, I'm not, going to give a lot of business, but in short, my first plugin cost me 1,000 to make through Studio Linked. I made 20K. So I was like, okay, the people clearly like this. So let me reinvest and build a bigger plugin. The next plugin costs 12 to 20K with the graphics and all this. I wasted a lot of money on graphics. But let's say it costs 12K to license out the software engine. And 12K later, 20K later, that plugin made 6 figures plus. I don't even know the exact number. Then I was like, okay, let me keep reinvesting in this plugin. Then the developer, and I have full empathy for him because he was pregnant, I think for the first time. Not him, but his family was pregnant. He was expecting a child for the first time. And I didn't understand that pressure until I had our child on the way. But he was so, like, I guess, flustered that he couldn't maintain the software. And so I had a working copy, and then he delivered me a non-working copy that I didn't check first. And I couldn't revert back to the older copy, and I had to distribute whatever he gave me. And it screwed over myself, my customers, just because he didn't go back and fix the issue. And so I was left on the what is it called? The hook, because my whole
Right.
business relied around this person making a product and I paid a lot of money to get it to work. So, it's frustrating because you scale up with ads and all this stuff, and then you immediately have to go back to ground zero. So because of that, I would recommend to everybody looking into software, there's different solutions, but HICE is the best one I've found.
Is
There's
HICE
one
similar to Rompler? I think it's
Rompler
Rompler.
is less, I'll be honest, shout out to Evan. He put me onto the software game. But it's not HICE.
Right.
It's more like Maze Sampler for those who are familiar.
Okay.
So have you
Okay.
built any of your new plugins with HICE now, or VSTs with HICE now?
Multiple. Yeah. It's satisfying. I'll definitely tell you that. You can do synths, effects, and it's pretty straightforward. It's a lot easier than you think, but getting it set up is the difficult part. And I don't
So
tell
how
anybody.
long would it
I gatekeep it. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just going to ask because I have heard about HICE before. In fact, I don't know if you know Kix, but he's a producer that came on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, and he's building out his plugin company basically through HICE. But I was just wondering,
Mm.
for example, let's say you wanted to make a VST as complex as like an Omnisphere. Is that like a year-long kind of project to try and do by yourself, or is it way more accessible?
I'll tell you, because I'm only limited with my knowledge, I've seen people make, I'm trying to remember his company name. I think it's Prototype Audio, who made this plugin called, I think, Fusion. He told me that he used the HICE engine. Now, to be fair, he also, you could build like building blocks, but he knows the C++ and the Juice framework underneath the building block, or like what makes up the building block, to modify it. But long story short, he used HICE for his products. So you guys could look it up. Prototype Audio. It looks clean, and it works tremendously.
Love to check it out because it's definitely something that I want to do as the next project. I'm curious though, do you know if, because I'm trying to think if, for example, Mac bring out updates, do you have to rely on the creator of HICE to update their platform in order for your stuff to work, or do you have more control over it?
Oh, great question. As long as you have it installed, it's like, how do I explain this? I guess it's like a version of FL. Like as long as you have it, you have it. If you want to update, you're risking like whatever happens with the update. But I think he stores the older versions on GitHub in the case that they're called branches. I'm not a coder, so forgive me. I sound ignorant as crap. But you can always
Yeah.
go back to the working copies that work for your machine. Yeah.
Okay, got you. Yeah, because I was just thinking if, like, obviously if you build something from scratch yourself, then you're in like full control of that. But then I'm thinking if you use something like Rompler or HICE, are you kind of relying on the owner of that company to keep up to date with everything? Because let's say if, for example, new updates for Windows and Mac come out and for whatever reason the plugin isn't compatible anymore, do you have to rely on the creator of that software just to update everything for you? You know what I mean? Like if you've got a whole business running off that platform for your plugins, is it a bit out of your control? I've just never experienced it, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, I guess, dig into the core, any dependencies they're called. We have, any kind of thing that we're relying on, it's a risk. But I'll say in the music world, we don't update as much to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. It's
Yeah.
really kind of stuck at VST3 right now. I don't see any future
Or there's
thing
clap.
coming.
I haven't really tapped into clap, but I've been hearing a lot more about that.
What's that?
Oh yeah.
It's like CLAP. It's basically like a new form of VST. You know how you have like AU for Mac, is it? I think
Hmm.
it's AU, right? And you have like VST, VST3, clap. I don't really know the specifics. I don't really know what the advantage of it is. It's something to do with affecting things in real time. It's like a real time process instead of having a lag. I'm probably butchering it because I haven't like looked into it too much, but I know like Pro Tools, for example, are using clap at the moment and a few other VSTs. I think FL have introduced it, but I haven't experienced it, so I'm not too sure. I'd have to look into it.
Yeah.
Got you.
To quickly answer you, it's because VST is owned by Steinberg, who makes Cubase, and
Mm,
it's a lot of politics around the copyright and the trademark. So that's why people are trying to create their own system so they don't have to pay VST licenses and all
mm,
this like back end stuff to make their software. It's really just
right.
it's like Bitcoin in how
Yeah.
it's not run by the American banks. So yeah, now I'm going around the circle because I see things from you guys' perspective, and I've gone through it many times. In LLB, I know that your situation, and you can correct me where I'm wrong, is do you feel frustrated in that you're like, okay, what is the next step through content? How do I stand out? How do I break through without doing all this extra like how to make a beat on a bridge, type of stuff. And then figure out also too how to monetize it ongoing so that you don't have to constantly keep launching stuff over and over. Like with you have sound packs and stuff.
Yeah, I got the sound packs, a couple courses and stuff. But yeah, I've kind of like I'm in the middle of just like transitioning a few things. So like I'm not basically the what I'm like transitioning to. I won't have to worry too much about a video like doing well. It's more like the conversions than the actual views. So yeah, I'm just kind of like transitioning to that at the minute. Hopefully that'll help not having to upload as many videos, like having to upload a video every week. It can be like maybe two a month, and then it's more like lead. It'd be more like lead generation instead of like having to promote, like promote a kit or like, which I'll still do, but obviously I need something like that's more. I don't know, just something that's more like where I can get like 3, 4 clients a month instead of having to sell like 100 kits, every month to keep the lights on. So yeah,
Yeah,
I'm making a few changes, but yeah.
because excuse me, if I were in your business, sorry, let me cough real quick. If I were in your business model, I would say, how do I use my clients to build my kit? Because now I have infinite demand. Meaning, if people want the next Tyler the Creator drum kit, but they're using the same snare from Lex Luger's kit and, Wheezy's kit and all the stuff, we're just compiling it for the Tyler Creator sound. My point is saying, what if you are creating the Tyler the Creator? Meaning the demand is not the sound of a Lex snare, it's the curation of sound. So what if you use the people, by clients, you mean artists?
I'm producers, yeah, artists and producers, yeah.
What do you do for producers? By what do you say clients? Do you mean customers, or are you working hands on with somebody?
More hands-on, yeah. So like I've got a community running at the minute, but it's gonna kind of be like that, but a little different. It'll be a lot smaller, so it's more like close knit.
Okay.
And then with the artist stuff, it'll just be full production, start to finish, mix master. Depends on what they need, but it'll be more like beginning to end kind of process, as opposed to like selling them a beat. So
Oh, I feel you. Okay,
yeah.
so like an agency approach. The reason I'm asking all these questions is because I'm trying to understand your end goal, which is, from my perspective, the reason your system is kind of stagnated is because we're not focusing on the three pillars. There's three pillars of online business. There's traffic. That's the first pillar. The second one is value exchange, which you seem to be working on the most. And the third one is customer relations and our systems that we have to do customer support and all this stuff to keep people around. And so the first thing I would say for you is, do you use shorts?
Nah, not that much. No.
I think because you guys are so polished, you came in the game, it's almost like, what's a childhood show you guys watch in the UK?
Ed, Ed and Eddie.
Teletubbies.
Yeah.
I don't know if you caught
Okay,
those.
so those are universal shows. Teletubbies is hilarious, and Ed, Ed and Eddie is even wilder. But
Classic.
mhm,
Yep.
think about it. this way. If I were, sorry, I'm chewing in the mic. If I were a Teletubby or Ed and Eddie, and I brand myself that way coming in, I can never change. I have to be super, like if we came in the game like Sanjay C, highly produced, super innocent, you'd be trapped forever. You can't move out of that. It's too trapping. It's too, so that happened with my brand. I focused too much on FL Studio, and I was like, I cannot be just FL Studio. This will trap me. I moved into music theory. The audience got bigger because everybody doesn't use FL Studio. JCAC, because I know you've gone through this, and you feel the frustration too, because you focused on drill in the beginning. That was your resonance point to get you above the noise. But now we have to create, you know, if this were sound design, the fundamental frequency, your resonance point, we now have to create harmonics. So instead of focusing on that one thing, we now have to multiply it and change that frequency to tap into more audiences. That's how we're going to grow our base. And so you probably came into the situation where you're like, drill, 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 drill. Oh, crap, I want to do R&B. Nobody's like vibing with it like that. Yeah. So we have to make sure we're equally planting those seeds for each sub-market. And so, you know, I know you felt the frustration too with your launches, because I know from the outside in, you know, we're taught to launch, especially with the email team that you're working with. Do they help you launch, or how does that work?
Yeah, definitely. So I guess I kind of decide what products I'm gonna release, and then they help set up the landing page, the email sequence. But of course, yeah, like any marketing team, they want more products to market. But then for us, we're thinking we don't want to just keep dropping and dropping. Like, how do we figure out a way to, I don't know, just not have to rely on new launches constantly? I'm curious what you do for that, actually, because I don't know like how often you release kits or courses, but do you focus more on just the products that you have? Like, what's your strategy for it?
Yeah, I had to like, what's it called? I had to like, what's called when you get off a drug? I forget the name. Like detox.
Oh, yeah.
I had to detox because they said every launch you get is equated to a cocaine rush. So imagine getting $40,000 in a weekend. Your brain can't, like, it doesn't understand that, because you're coming from survival to immediately doing stuff your family's never done. And so that will mess up your brain a lot. And so we're addicted to that, quite literally. And we put our self-esteem in how much money we make as men. You have a girl, I assume, right?
Yeah.
And so that's our confidence is our money. Like in the beginning, Black folks, you know, the way we get confidence, we buy luxury goods. We buy the Gucci belt, the Louis Vuitton belt. We want to make sure we will tuck in our trench coat to make sure that people see our belt. That's how obsessed with status we are, because we want to attract the mate, because we want the mate to continue our genetics through progeny or kids, because through our kids, we can continue our genetics, meaning genetic survival. And so all these things that we're doing are because of that. So when we associate our, you know, identity to the money we're making, we're saying, if I don't make this money, I won't have my genetics survive, because it won't attract the mate, and the mate's going to not, you know, procreate with me, and then we're not going to have kids and all this type of stuff. But that's a false correlation, it's called. So long story short, the way I dealt with that is like a sidewalk. If you have a sidewalk, you know those little like grooves, every time you go past the slab of sidewalk, it's like a little groove.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so imagine that's your campaign. Your launch campaign is like the sidewalk, but then there's a part where it falls off. So that fall off part, we fill it up with concrete. So what is the concrete? The concrete is the retention of your audience through memberships, through your Discord, keeping people there in what's called a capacitor, similar to a battery. And if batteries charge up, you know, I have a thing of batteries right here, funny enough. If these charge up our Game Boys and our Nintendos, then guess what we need every single day is the batteries. But we forget as content creators to create batteries, metaphorically speaking, how to retain energy. It's one thing, LLB, when we make our videos about like, because I know Ocean started the trend of like doing cool stuff of collaborating, and I learned a lot about you guys' style, which is like you're trying to collaborate and bring all these characters into your stories. And you know what happens is that we get people's attention, but it dissipates very quickly. And it's similar to if you guys ever heat something up in a microwave. You guys, are you allowed to have microwaves in the UK, or is that banned? I feel like
Nah, we still got they're still going strong.
because y'all ban all the like stuff that makes our society cancerous. So I mean, y'all would know different than us. But
People are moving on to air fryers now, though. That's the new thing. I don't know if it's the same over there.
Oh, big facts, big facts. So your curry, for example, did you heat it up in the microwave? I'm not trying to put you on blast. I'm just asking.
Yeah.
Now,
Microwave.
if you didn't eat it fast with urgency, then it would go cold and it wouldn't be enjoyable. And so the same thing with content is that the content that we're taught to make is the content that is, I call it interruption based. And it's based off of manipulating people's dopamine spikes and responses. Basically, every 8 minutes are dopamine re-triggers. So if you ever wondered why the YouTube thing monetizes you guys mostly after 8 minutes, is because if you hook them in the first 3 seconds, in the first minute, they have a dopamine spike. And just like a launch, Jay, you spike up and then it peters out over time. And it's kind of like, right? It's kind of like resting. Like if we don't rest, we can't bench press if we don't like rest. And so what I'm saying is that because we're trained to focus on manipulating people's dopamine spikes, we're not trained to retain their hormonal system. I know I'm getting a little biological, but hormones drive actions more than quick little dopamine rewards. So what I'm saying to LLB is that I've had this issue before where we're taught to chase the YouTube. Are you guys familiar with investing, like day trading and stuff?
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit. Okay. So I'd say the number one thing you guys should be doing with your cash right now is not reinvesting in another camera, not buying another software plugin, not buying anything that you think is going to give you the return on investment that we justify in our brain. Your only purpose for your cash is to stuff it in the stock market. There's no other purpose for your cash right now. Because if I measured every single thing about our businesses, and not to be like brash, but we're not getting the return. It's called the internal rate of return. We're not getting the internal rate of return that we think we're getting. Outside of like big bets like a software plugin or something like that, we're not, the dollars that we spend on customer support, we're not returning. The dollars we spend on, what's some stuff you guys use every month?
Mainly just like subscriptions, to be fair.
I was gonna say output.
Yeah.
Yeah, plugin subscriptions. I mean, for work, the main things are like plugin subscriptions, email
Email
marketing.
provider.
Yeah, that's the big one.
And then we have to be men and be like, look, is this thing growing or is it dying? There's only two ways to go, up or down. Is this thing making my business go up or down? And I had to do this thing with ChatGPT. I wish I had it on me, where I basically gave it all my cost per acquisitions and my lifetime values of customers and all my actions that I do in my business. And I had it calculate through reason and logic the value of my time. And so, like, even to the point where I said eating cookies, okay, because I have an issue eating cookies. I said eating cookies because it cost me, 5 days of low productivity. That means I just lost $3,000 in the week from eating one bag of cookies. So I've put a money sign to an action, meaning every time I decide to eat cookies, I'm costing myself $3,000 in potential growth. And so working out actually is a positive ROI of $400 an hour. Why? Because now I can work 10 more hours without fatigue, or whatever the value is, however many hours without fatigue. I forget the exact amount of hours. And so I had to do this exercise to equate every single action in my business to a return. Is it going down? Is it costing me? Or is it making me more potential? So all I'm saying is, to answer Jay's first question, what do I do about that? I create subscriptions and recurring revenue, because that's the cement to go in between. Right. Whenever I'm not sure which thing to push, I'll push my premium. Or if you guys are more sophisticated, you guys can push your affiliates or your sponsorships. I know you guys were talking about sponsorships not too long ago.
Yeah.
And so, but I'd recommend that you own a recurring business. So I don't know how you guys have all that set up on the back end, but Thinkific is the one that I use right now, and it's supreme. And it's very low cost. Trust me, I spent a lot of money on membership stuff, and Thinkific is the only one that does what it does. But going back to LLB real quick, and then I'll not take over this conversation, is, to LLB, what I would say is that the reason we're not getting conversion is because there's 4 layers of a content consumer. So the first one, and this will be a little long, but it'll be gems for somebody listening in. So this first person is a spectator. So we're taught by the YouTube gurus like vidIQ and all them to chase these people, which is very broad market, no depth. And so this is a spectator. Their only job is to be curious and to watch our stuff. That's it. They don't owe us anything else. Now, the next person is a skeptic. Okay, the purpose of a skeptic is to find flaw in what we create, our content, our products, whatever it is. Now, we have to answer the objections or the friction points of these skeptics in order for them to move to the next step. And now, before I even continue, have you ever found an artist one time and you're like, this song is too good? Like, let me check their other stuff to see if they're like consistently good.
Yeah, of course.
whenever I feel that feeling like this artist is too good to be true, I'm like, okay, I need to hear 3 more songs. And if they all hit, this is the artist. That's my test. And so that's the point of a skeptic, is to really see if there's consistency. Consistency doesn't mean frequency. Consistency means density. Consistency means, the difference between a diamond and this plastic. This plastic is more hollow than a diamond. Okay. Like chemically speaking. So the third layer is a subscriber. And here's where most people get stuck. Okay. A subscriber only owes us a like, a comment, and a share. That's it. Social currency, it's called. And the point of a subscriber is to simply, spread the seed to different gardens, metaphorically speaking. Now, the fourth layer, and this is what LLB's telling me he has an issue with, is converting a subscriber over to a supporter. A supporter takes their hard-earned dollars out of their pocket and hands it to us for a product or a service. Now, the way we convert a subscriber to a supporter is we show them their desired outcomes. And there are 5 desired outcomes for our audience. And this is where everybody gets this messed up, including lawyers, okay, in this business. Is the first outcome is wealth. So, there's something called Music Money by Zaytoven. The motivation of his audience, wealth. MIDI money, if you guys are familiar with Gabe from Legion Beats, wealth.
Yeah.
Kavi, whenever he talks about making a gazillion dollars off of beats and publishing and all that, wealth. Okay, that's his audience's motivation. So his targeted messages should always be about how to make this much money, how to use this to flip it into money, because that's what his people are doing ultimately. The second layer, motivation, is social status. Now, this is your producer grinds. Anytime somebody says, buy this kit, you'll have a potential for a placement, or hey, buy this Travis Scott thing and it'll potentially work with Travis Scott. That's called social status. The majority of everybody in our audience wants social status. They don't want to be masters at the craft. They don't want to make money. They want to be next to Drake because Drake is cooler than them. That's what they really want. And so we have to always relate what we're doing and providing for them as a way to get to them being closer to that desired outcome. So LLB, I didn't even know you had courses. I knew you had sounds. I didn't know you had courses. So what if, I'm just saying, I don't know your audience. So what if I said to your audience, hey, the people I've worked with hands-on, they've gone to do X, Y, and Z. This could be you too. Join my mastermind where you can be like us and learn through osmosis and through day-to-day, whatever you offer. And you'll be like that. It's like the rags to riches story. And so that would be social status, a part of the herd, a part of the tribe. I'm writing a book right now called Game Time. It's going to be free. And I did a lot of studying about tribes and psychology about leaders, because people who make content are not necessarily leaders. Just because we make content does not mean we're kings. 2 different things. And so to answer, my point about LLB, and I'm not trying to target you. I'm just, speaking to your archetype. I don't want to make this sound like, business hot seat. It's simply we wanted to lead them to their desired outcomes. First one, wealth. Second one, social status. The third one is power. Okay, so these are your people like politicians or people who want, like Diddy's of the world, who want to leverage other people. And these are the collab. I'll collab with this person because they have a bigger network. I'll collab with that person. It's because they have a network. That's actually power motivation, not social status. So anyhow, then the fourth one is mastery. This is what I teach. This is what Jay teaches. This is what I believe LLB teaches to a degree. Ocean as well. When you're in your logic bag, you're just getting it. We all teach mastery to a degree, but I focus in on mastery. Like anytime somebody says, why does this work? I need to have an answer for why. And the fifth one is health, fitness of genes. So most people, I'd say Ocean's probably the most out of us that kind of promotes a healthy image, meaning like people are trying to aspire to be like you. Like when they saw you at that party, I think you had where you invited people over. Mm-hmm. Not only are you, fit as a man, but you're also showing that you can attract potential mates. And that means fitness of genes. That means fitness of genes. So now they're looking at you at a higher social status because they said, oh, he is the magnet for continuing my genetic material. And so you're demonstrating that whether they know it or not. So those are the 5 motivations.
So just interrupt. He's not that fast though. Just put that out there. It's not fast as me.
Fast? Oh, you run? Do you run?
No. We had when we all linked up a couple of years ago. we did producer Olympics. We like a 50-meter sprint contest. We did the first one, then we did the second one, like the bigger one. And
that's hilarious.
Yeah, your boy came out on top.
That's hilarious. Yeah, LLB's like, I haven't taken off my shirt. That's why you don't know him. Jay could be,
We need a
ripped for all I
rematch.
know.
Yeah,
We
I
need
need
a
to bring
rematch,
some girls in
LB.
the room or something. I need to. I need people to see that we got it too.
Right
Yeah.
on. And my goal of going around the room first is to serve the people at the top because you guys influence the world. So LLB, to answer that final point, and I'll just like wrap my point here, is that we need to continuously show them their desired outcome. So out of those 5 things, which one do you think your audience is focused on? Wealth, social status, power, health, or mastery?
Probably mastery. Probably mastery. Yeah, production
Mastery.
stuff. Yeah. That
Okay, then
well,
that,
yeah.
go ahead.
I've had a few surveys come through. Just gather. I'm kind of like just gathering some data at the minute to kind of put my offer together. But for the most part, it's like mixing and mastering. That's like not what I was expecting, but yeah, mixing and mastering seems to be the main pain point for those guys.
Okay, dope. And I'd love to share
Yeah.
my data that I collected from thousands of people on like what they actually want. Come from a mastery perspective. Is from I didn't know you had courses. So to demonstrate what we're trying to sell, we need to put that in our stuff that we put in the forefront. So I would say instead of the hey, making a beat, flipping this chord piano. I don't know the titles I use. Forgive me because I'm going off of rough memory. But we need to demonstrate now the why. So as much as people hate tutorials, what it does, even though my numbers seem like it's not popping, even though we're getting 2 million views a month, Jay knows the secret now about the shorts. Okay, 1.2 million views on shorts alone on YouTube, and then 700 I think 80,000 views on long form. But we need to do the tutorial stuff because that tutorial stuff converts people to understand their desired outcome. We have to educate them where they're ignorant and then show them that we have the keys to their friction points so that they use our product to get past that obstacle. And so if we're not demonstrating that over and over and over and over and over again, they don't have an incentive to move. Personally, I think that's where that business has a bottleneck is demonstrating the mastery. So, I don't want to beat down on you, but you have a lot of upside potential because you're already branded with the top people in the space. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah,
So can you
sorry to give
guys
you all
hear
the
that?
whole hot
It's
seat.
crazy firework display going like
Oh,
right
is that what
outside
it
the
is?
window.
Yeah, I can hear
Oh
it.
yeah,
Can you hear it? Yeah.
That's
yeah.
the universe
Sorry.
telling you to pop. The
Yeah.
universe signals. This universe is telling you, pay attention to what he's saying. I'm trying to tell you, but you ain't listening. No, but I'm curious to hear what you guys were going to talk about today. I didn't mean to take it over. I just wanted to add value first before I started talking.
No, happy to let you take the lead, man. That's why we brought you on, just to hear your knowledge. Because I watched a lot of your videos as well, and you reacted to our video recently, didn't you? About we were talking about the current state of YouTube tutorials or just the producer content space in general. So let's throw that question at you then. Like, what are your thoughts on today's producer content? Are you satisfied with the state of it at the moment, or do you think there's room for improvement, or what's your thoughts?
Oh, personally, I love it. I love when I see people with 2 subscribers, 250. Like, you guys should see my homepage. Let me see, actually, so I'm not capping, as people say. Let's pull up my homepage just to see who's on the homepage real quick. And I love finding new stuff, so I don't know if you guys can see. Okay, so it's probably too
Mhm.
bright, but I don't even know what that video says. I can't read it from here. But I love my homepage because it has people with 200 followers, 20.
Yeah.
It might not look music related now, but this guy has a little bit of views. I'd watch that. I don't even know what it's about. Honestly, personally, I love it because what it does is I look at everything not like what's right and what's wrong. I look at it as entropy, meaning the universe wants to take a centralized point and spread it, decentralize it, because that's how it maximizes. If you guys heard about the fractal universe, it means that we're going from one point to many. And so in this, we find experimentation or iteration where we find new things. So novelty doesn't come from the person like myself all the time because I'm at a point where I can't cover all the little minute things about FL Studio or a plugin or whatever because it won't attract the entire audience. So I need the people with 200 followers or whatever to show us the next minute, super deep thing. And
Yeah.
to answer your question though, in the short, I love it. Personally, I love it. I have no complaints. There is a little negativity, like you said, you're trying not to be negative, or you don't like the negativity. I just think we're building too much to try to destroy it right now. I've seen it start in 2009. It's only 2024. How many years is that? Like, I don't know.
15 years or something.
15 years, yeah.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, I'm counting from 2009. No wonder. I meant to say 2014.
Mm.
I was wondering why that math sounded wrong. So I've been paying attention since 2009 technically, but really started in 2014. 10 years later, we're just getting started, y'all. This is like the very beginning. Ocean's going to have his
Yeah.
plugin company. Jay's going to understand how to leverage and multiply, because what happens is when we reach a friction point, we have to go into entropy. We have to create another layer of people who can lead their charge. Meaning, Jay's at his maximum. I'm just saying maximum. I'm not putting this on you or cursing you. What
Yeah.
if he has 4 J's underneath him? That's what I'm saying, is at this point we need to multiply as opposed to try to get the new thing to make us 10x. We need to multiply. So that's called
Yeah.
entropy.
I've thought about that. I've been thinking about that over the past few years, actually, where, you can get to a certain point as J Cactus, but then to expand, like, there's no J Cactus company without J Cactus, right? So I'm trying to think, like, long term what I'd do, and maybe it would be branching out into more of a broader company, like how everyone, I don't know, like you tried it with Tsunami Audio, right, Ocean? And this is it. This is interesting, actually, because I know a few people that have tried it where they got to a point where they thought, okay, maybe I need to keep my audio company separate to me. Maybe that's because in the future, if you ever need to sell the company, like for retirement, you couldn't sell J Cactus without J Cactus, right? So then I'm guessing that's why a lot of people decide to take the separate audio company route. But then, like you said it yourself, Ocean, right? When you did it, you noticed quite a big dip because people didn't really know about Tsunami Audio, but they knew about Ocean. So then you found that people were kind of buying into you because they trust you, but they didn't really understand Tsunami Audio. So then that got me thinking, right, maybe now's not the right time to branch out into a separate company like that. But at a certain point, I think, yeah, it probably makes sense to do something along those lines just to kind of take yourself away from the business a bit. And then you can come up with some sort of group where you have a few people under your wing. Maybe you have like 4 different people, like you said, creating content, or there's a plugin side, a sample pack side, whatever it might be. So I've been thinking about that quite a bit over the last year or so, like what the next step would be.
Have you kind of figured out or have more of an idea of what it's going to be?
I mean, I think long term, like I said, it might have to be something separate to me, but I haven't decided. I think I'm a bit scared to take that leap because I think people kind of know me and trust me through like J Cactus. So then it's like, okay, how do I get my audience to become familiar with a completely separate company? Maybe it's just going to be like a dip at first, and then gradually over time people will start to recognize. But yeah, I need to do more planning really and think about what I really want. What's your perspective on that, Busy?
I'll say, would you ever, okay, I'll start with the negative, but only to create contrast, is that a lot of founders who sell their business actually regret doing it because most people think, and Splice is worth 500 million, doesn't mean they sold their company yet. Native Instruments is throwing around $53 million of funding and doing all this crazy stuff, but they didn't sell the company yet. So what I'm telling you guys is that most people think that when a business is sold, it sells for a big lump of cash. Like when Producer Grind sold, I was up in arms for many reasons.
Yeah.
But most people watching think that, oh, they just got a bag from Cymatics. They just must have made $1 million, $2 million off of selling it. That's not how it works. When you sell a company, there's something called there's 3 options. All cash, cash and equity, or just complete equity and future payments. Meaning, if I buy J Cactus right now, I could say we can transact, it'd be $0 to prevent a taxation point. But then I could say, I'll pay you $5,000 a month for X amount of months. That's called seller finance, meaning you're risking your future income depending on my performance of your company. If I were to buy you out, for example, your brand, I'm saying. And so that's called seller finance. That's 99% of how businesses are sold is seller finance. The risk of that is if Jay sells BusyWorks Beats his brand for $5,000 a month for the next 10 years, yes, he'll make $500,000 or whatever the number is. But the problem is if I tank his brand, now there's no income to even pay him.
Yeah.
And that was my issue with the seller producer grind is the intent truly to make a bunch of money and pay the people who deserve it? Or is it just to crash the company to get competition out the way? So that's what I was concerned about because I was too invested in the people behind the scenes. So that was my frustration. But yeah, so to answer your question, I guess, shorter is I don't think people should sell their brand. The brand is really your only, in the world of AI, I'm writing about this now. In the world of AI, your personal brand is probably your only differentiate from anything that can be cloned. So
Yeah. Oh yeah,
that's
it
my
wouldn't
answer.
be any time like soon. When I'm saying like selling a brand, like eventually I'm talking like way further down the line when it's
Yeah.
like really time to hang up the boots and retire. Because I don't think I'd ever like want to stop till that point.
And two, and not to bore like the audience, there's something called an asset sale. So you don't have to necessarily sell you, but you can sell everything in your room, metaphorically
Hmm.
speaking. So you could sell your sound kits and your all the assets and the copyrights and ownership to somebody else without actually selling you, and they could leverage that to create their own company under their own. I don't know if you guys have LLCs over there, not LLBs. Maybe you guys have LLBs.
Yeah, we just have them
That's
as limited companies here.
Yeah.
that'd be a little
Yeah. Let me.
series. LLB, almost like LLC. Flip that some type of way.
Yeah. Let's come up to the States. Make it LLC with
Right.
LLB.
But I'm telling you, LLB,
Yeah.
if you just if because you guys are so perfect about what you do, I'm telling y'all, we got to embrace the imperfect. It's called YouTube because people relate to us. When it's
Yeah,
too polished, nobody's life is like TV. Nobody's. And so
right.
when it's too polished, we're by default creating a differentiate point. Yeah, we're there might aspire to be us, but we're not relating to them to make them move. So if you guys aren't seeing people move, and before I answer, quit my answer here, is when people say I have fake subscribers and all this, we had 250,000 subscribers. I showed Jay the strategy. We have 250,000 subscribers in the last year alone. We had 930,000 or something like that back in 2023, I think it was. And that shot us way from 900,000 to 1.2 or 1.3 million now. That's just on YouTube. We have
Yeah,
the world's number one growing Discord for producers. Okay, it's at 102,000 people in there. Kenny Beats is at 133, but it's going down. It's not going up. So hopefully Kenny Beats returns to his Discord. So we're the number one growing Discord, second in the world technically numbers wise. On my email list, the number one conversion measure out of my 1.2, 1.3 million subscribers, I have 500 plus thousand people on my email list. You don't get there without converting people. And I'm trying to show people we have to relate more. And the only way people relate, my best videos are when I'm just doing this literally. No face, just straight off the phone. Yo, guys,
yeah.
look at my computer screen. Like, look at my, oh man, look, I clicked this thing in FL and now it's because that's their
Mm,
perspective. One of my number
hmm.
one winning ads was a picture of over my shoulder looking at my laptop. And if you notice, Nick Mears used a thumbnail like that before and it did well because that's the perspective of somebody in our room watching us do stuff.
Yeah,
And so we have to just be in the perspective of the people watching. That's why I respect when Ocean sits there, like the person's like right here on the thumbnail and it looks like they're there in the room. It's like, how did he even do this on Photoshop for one? But then for two, that's what we're trying to gather is a connectivity through POV or what's it called? Like voyeurism, I guess is the right word. But yeah,
hmm.
just ditch I promise y'all, if you ditch the like super polished, need an editor stuff for like a good month and just go raw, unedited, you will probably connect deeper with your audience because now they see all the in between stuff. And that's the part that a lot of people are just missing.
It'd be interesting to try, wouldn't it? Because, like you said, for the past, well, past, I started YouTube. I think it was early 2020, like February 2020. So it has been a while now. But ever since the beginning, I did want some sort of polished video. My editing wasn't great at the beginning, and now I have an editor who does them, so everything looks clean and polished right now. But because I've been doing that for so long, it's like almost a scary move to try and upload a video, especially on YouTube. I don't mind on TikTok or like Reels, but
Mm.
to upload a long form YouTube video where it's just raw, unedited, just kind of slow paced talking, it'd be
Yeah.
interesting to see. Maybe the
Well,
views
I'll just
wouldn't
chime
go
in.
crazy, but maybe the
Yeah.
viewers that are watching those, like you said, you'd connect with them on a deeper level and just adds more of a human touch, I guess.
It does. I'm just gonna chime in because I kind of did it at the start of the year. Like I tried doing like daily uploads.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah, of course.
yeah. I don't think maybe I didn't nail it with the title and the thumbnails, just because I was trying to pump out videos. But I just saw that like over time the retention just like kind of dropped, and then it took a while to like pick back up again. So I had to just kind of go back to the not like super fast pace, but just like think about the structure of the video and really just think about like creating just learning about hooks and and learning about like how to do a proper intro, just keeping it short, and just like really going back to that style. And it's slowly starting to recover now, but yeah, I
Mm.
think the raw stuff can work for some people, but I think it only works if you're someone like someone like Sam Sulek, someone in like the bodybuilding community, where it's like you see the thumbnail, he's massive, that grabs your attention straight away, and then you get on to the video, and he's really like easygoing, really easy to listen to. It's kind of like listen to a podcast. So then you just start like and obviously he knows what he's doing because he's massive, and anyone who wants to get even a little bit bigger in the gym, they're going to kind of just casually take his stuff in. Whereas like my stuff, like I was missing that X factor. So I think I know you're right, Busy. I think it does work, the raw stuff, but I think you need to already have like that big thing straight, like straight in the face for them to click in and stay there, and you can kind of build up the connection that way.
Yeah, I'll give you guys data because I think there's a lot of missing data. I ran all my data through ChatGPT to be my data analysis. Most people say that the correlation between money on YouTube is the retention rate. That's actually false. It's actually subscribers that correlates to money the most, well, scientifically speaking. Now, underneath subscribers is retention. So it's second, it's not first. But all these vidIQ and all them, they lie to y'all and just say, focus on retention. It's not really what the data says. And also, too, they tell you guys not to focus on YouTube Shorts and promotions tab. That is the greatest lie on the planet. TikTok is in a war with YouTube right now. YouTube is fighting for their life to keep their stock price high. The only way to keep their stock price high is to win the TikTok war. They're willing to push at a loss our material. As long as we add the money to them to help us mitigate the cost to them to push shorts, we're actually their allies in this war with TikTok. They're rewarding that. And so that's how I got 250,000 something subscribers in a year. I've never seen growth anywhere else. To give you guys quantitative numbers, I can get a subscriber right now, and it's real, because how do I get over 250,000 students on my website? If everything's fake, how do we have 100,000 Discord members? If everything's fake, how do we have 500 something thousand email contacts? If everything, and I can show you guys on the screen. I don't know how to share screens, but for people watching, I could show them on this screen. So you don't, like, for example, and this is current, so I'm not trying to be petty, Jay, on your platform.
Yeah, of course.
Is people keep comparing me with Navi D. There's two different content types. There's interruption based and there's search based. My channel is search based. That's why I have 6,000 videos, and those 6,000 videos, the catalog produces 2 million whatever views every month. That's long-term investing. What we're taught to chase, because they're trying to serve the people trying to make 10,000 a month on YouTube right now, the money getters, they're trying to get everybody sucked into this thing so they can sell y'all a course. So they lie to everybody and they say, here's how to get 10,000 views on your first video as soon as you upload it. But that's that cocaine rush that everybody's chasing, which is actually the fleeting feeling. It goes up and then it shoots down. I can show people on data. You might get a ton of views in the beginning, but it does not have a long tail to it. It goes up and it goes into a hockey stick. And that's because if there's no incentive for people to research it, there's no more returning viewers for any reason. So long story short, I kind of forgot where I pivoted off of. What was I
Talking
answering?
about shorts. Oh yeah, I can't remember the original question,
sorry.
but you were talking about
In
shorts
terms
and
of
running
just
ads
like
on shorts.
authentic content and stuff.
Here's one thing
Yeah.
is that I can get a subscriber right now. As much as people say it's fake, whatever. I'm like, look at is the money fake? Or the people on my website fake? Because I would love to know how people call this fake. So I can get a subscriber for 4 cents. And that 4 cents, if we even use just the YouTube revenue, converts to, I think, 28 cents in the first 7 days. What does that mean? That means I think it's 32 cents. That means I'm literally getting an 8 times return on investment. Nowhere on the planet have I gotten a lead for less than 9 cents. Facebook was the only time when it was popping before they added the governor to keep everybody there. Never have I gone below 9 cents per lead. Only on YouTube have I seen it go below that, and that's impossible to do anywhere else currently. So 4 cents per lead, like you could put $15 on it. Let me do some math real quick. I don't even know how to do this math very quickly. But if you had a $15 budget, not even a lot of money, and you got subscribers for 4 cents, let's do 15. Actually, I don't even know how to do that math. I'm gonna have to ask ChatGPT. I'm gonna let you guys continue the conversation, but I'm gonna give ChatGPT a problem here. I'm gonna say, if my lead is 4 cents and I have a $15 budget, how many leads do I get? Okay, we'll see what it says. So Worst case, if you guys don't have a calculator, use ChatGPT.
And I'm
It's
using
doing
it
all the
every day.
calculus.
So
What's that?
375, right? It
Oh wow,
says.
you can read that? Yeah, 375. I can't even see it. So yeah, you for $15, you can get 375 people in your ecosystem and you
But
get a
you,
return on investment. Go ahead.
but you see, in terms of, okay, so you spend in your $15 to get a subscriber for 4 cents. But how are you doing that? Are you promoting like a specific kind of content, or are you like, how does that work? Because I'm
Yeah,
not really familiar with promotions within YouTube, so I'm just interested.
yeah, I made the mistake trying to promote long form before, but it only works with shorts because they're at a TikTok war. And
Hmm.
I only promote the shorts that do 20,000 views minimum and
Hmm.
minimum 1,000 likes. That's my criteria. So
Okay.
anytime a video has those two things, I boost it immediately.
Hmm.
There's no other greater return on my investment in my entire business, even on Facebook ads, Google ads, the stock market. Like my stocks have gone up, but they're only at 30% right now. Whereas I'm getting what's 800, what's eight times 800%, 800% return from something that nobody knows about. And they lie to us and tell us not to use it. So that's what I'm saying is that we're just taught lies and that's what keeps people stuck. So that's all I had to say. I just wanted to offer that data because nobody knows about it, but it's time they know, Jay. I'm sorry to take away our advantage, but
Nah, you're good. I haven't been
That's
running it. I
interesting.
remember a while back you broke it down for me, and I think I maybe experimented with like one reel, but it was just a random reel that I uploaded. It wasn't even a high performing one, or a short, should I say? But I haven't actually been running any, so I do need to actually try it because I was curious. I was wondering. I think the thing that was stopping me doing it in my head, I was thinking, are these subscribers healthy subscribers in terms of are they going to be watching your videos? Are they just random people who don't know anything, who aren't really invested in music? Do you know what I mean? Like I wasn't sure how specific we were getting with targeting or if it was just to have a certain amount of subscribers there. But it sounds like they are converting really well and it's
But
actually
that's what
good quality subscribers.
I wanted to go back to, because you said that you was making roughly 28 cents off every subscriber that came through. So how are you measuring that? Is that through them like going to watch that short and then going to watch another video within your YouTube channel?
yeah, what I'll do to measure that is I'll take my revenue for whatever period, like 7 days, I think 28 days, 90 days,
Hmm.
365. I'll take all those categories, divide it by how many subscribers I have, and I'll do that math. It's pretty simple math.
Hmm.
And what happens with Ocean's kind of asking subconsciously, I guess, yes, here's the thing about YouTube. They don't charge us unless people watch the ad. That's for one. So
Right.
we get, if they don't finish the ad, we don't get charged for it. So we just technically got somebody in our ecosystem for free. And then on top of that, after they watch our ad, they see our other stuff. So now they go from the short to the long form or to the other short. We're not paying for that. You know what I mean? We're just getting that on top of what we're getting for free. Or I mean,
Hmm.
excuse me, what we're getting top of the paid stuff. And so you're going to have a big argument, I guess, in the comments or in the future about inorganic versus organic. I had to reframe this. It's not that one is cheating and one's legit. That's stupid. I could have the best cakes in the world. If I don't tell anybody about my cakes, it doesn't matter. Word of mouth
Hmm.
only goes so far with educational platforms. If people watch a tutorial, you literally think they're going to be like, you know what? I just learned how to fix my Prophet 6. Let me share with my friend John, who doesn't even have a Prophet 6. It doesn't make sense to share it unless he has a problem. And so a lot of our educational stuff doesn't get shared organically because people feel like it doesn't solve something for somebody else or there's no social status they gain for sharing it. Whereas entertainment stuff like a Mr. Beast is like, look at this funny video. You'll love it. You'll laugh. There's an immediate
Yeah.
dopamine spike from that. It's a drug. Okay. And they're
Hmm.
sharing that drug with their friend. So what I had to position it is organic is waiting for people to share my stuff, which could take an eternity. Inorganic is saying, I'm going to show the algorithm can't filter me out. And now people can actually see it. And now they can decide for themselves. I'm not waiting on their friend to share it with them. So organic,
Right.
in my opinion, is a trap because it keeps us in a bubble of the filter of the organic social media platform. Inorganic is what if people actually like? Have you heard of Twitter being bought by Elon?
Yeah,
Hmm.
of course.
Now I don't know if are you guys on Twitter or no?
Very
I'm
rarely.
on Twitter, but I don't really use it. I've just kind of got it in the background.
The reason I asked that is because Twitter went from like this like desolate no man's land to now we see stuff that we never saw before. Cop videos of people hurting people. Not trying to like promote this, but
Yeah, every time I go on X or Twitter, I just see the most wild videos. It's like someone's head flying off, someone getting run over. I'm like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
I need to just get back on YouTube.
It's changed a lot. You don't even see content of people you follow anymore. It's just all this random stuff
Yeah.
right
on the
now,
main feed.
now it's called interest graph, whereas before it was demographics, meaning it goes back to entropy. YouTube is a singular centralized place. It finds the J cactuses, the LLBs, the oceans, the busies of the world because we need to multiply our influence to get to the next rung of the pyramid. Okay, so they focused on us until we got to a certain capacity before we couldn't grow anymore. And then once we couldn't grow, they introduced interest graph, which means now that we've democratized, meaning everybody's on the platform, how do we grow? We grow via interest. We grow inward instead of outward. We're not looking for new people. We're looking for deeper interest between the people to exchange. There's a word called commerce, and commerce means social intercourse. And that literally means, like, how do you build up? Jay has a girl. So I don't know about you guys and your love life, but even when you have a girl, you still gotta you gotta have fun with her. You gotta have emotional times. You gotta go through all the friction points before you're intimate. And my point is, it takes a lot of trust to do that.
Yeah.
Emotional trust, physical trust, financial trust, whatever, to get to that point to where we'll interact. And so that's what we're doing currently with social media, is building up the deeper trust elements through interests or tribes. And I'm going to teach this in my new book, Game Time. I go very deep with this, but I'm not going to bore you guys to tears about it, though. I can't see Jay, can y'all?
Got
His
it. I'm
camera's
still
gone.
here. I think my camera's just turned off, but we can carry on. I'm just trying to fix it as we speak.
Did your dog eat
But
the
I'm still
cable?
listening.
Did your dog
It just
chew up
happened
the
randomly. I think when you mentioned my girl, she's tapped into the stream.
Yeah, she's
There he
like,
is,
you know
built
what?
up.
Brrr. Edit this out. Look, Jay, no face, no case. Jay is out of here.
When
No,
are you
but-
planning to drop your book?
God willing, before Black Friday. It'll be a bundle, like the book and other stuff that I plan. I don't want to give the enemy too many signals yet. But the
Will you
book
do a
out is-
physical copy as well? Because the last one you just did online, right? Like a PDF version. Will this one be physical?
I don't. It requires too much effort to really get my word out. So no, I
Yeah.
don't think it makes sense.
Got you.
That's so
I'm
funny.
looking forward to
Jay's
it.
like, he's like, kill the cameras, kill the audio. I didn't hear him say what he said on the thing. No, but I think,
Yeah, I don't know.
a lot of what we're taught and the reason we're stuck is because we're just fed things to keep us where we are. And it's just the reason there's so many people against busy work speech is because they can't fathom how we got here. So they have to create a demon story. It's called the common enemy. One of the tribe building elements is called common enemy. This is how Trump came to power. He said, hey, remember those, he categorized the terrorists as Muslims purposely so that he could galvanize the Christians and the Catholics who had greater numbers in America, who were greater voters, against the Muslims. So he said, see those evil people over there, the common enemy? Let me galvanize the people who are opposite of that. And so Hitler used this, Trump used this. There's a lot of people who use common enemy. And so they have to do that because that justifies where they are. If I say, hey, I'm a poor person in America, that person's only rich because they must have cheated, lied, stole, or whatever. It's because I'm trying to make sense of my environment and why I am where I am. So I have to create a demon story because that person must have done something that wasn't right because I'm doing everything that's right. And that's how people justify where they are. So anytime you see people polarize the people in this community, it's because there's something there. You need to pay attention to each side. There's some gold there. But yeah, I think you guys need to polarize, shake it up, get a little spicy. Can't be,
Yeah.
you can't, one
Producer
thing,
beef.
producer beef. One thing Jesus said is be the salt of the world. Salt makes food taste better. It amplifies it. The reason it amplifies it is because of resonance. Whenever I'm resonating with somebody, we amplify. If I have a guitar, you guys have a guitar?
Yeah. I rarely use it. The strings are broke, but it's there.
Strings
Jay
are broke.
really said he's editing all 20 minutes of this out. He said, I am not part of this conversation, honey. I did
I'm
not.
still trying to
my
fix
internet
the
broke.
camera.
Is on an acoustic guitar. When you hit the string, it makes a very subtle noise. Then the string takes the vibration and moves through the saddle onto the soundboard into the cavity of the acoustic guitar. That amplifies the frequency because we're resonating the string with the next element and the next element, and then it amplifies. When you have plus one, plus one, plus one, plus one, plus one, you get whatever that number is. Let's say 5 or 4. I don't know how many plus ones I said. But to do that, we have to resonate. And how do we resonate? We find those commonalities. Everybody has what's called a natural frequency. You know, when Kanye said 808s are the devil or something like that?
Yeah, I remember that.
I disagree because it doesn't make sense on a lot of levels. But basically, the core lowest frequency of an 808, let's say 60 hertz. As long as I can introduce an oscillation at 60 hertz, I can move anything else in our universe at 60 hertz. That's why when Jesus said you can move a mountain with your words and your belief, he literally meant you can move a mountain. Literally. Because if I can find the frequency of a rock and I introduce that frequency to the rock, it moves. There's scientific data about this. So go look up how sound moves objects. As long as I can find the fundamental natural frequency of a person, I can move them. And that's why when you guys study emotions, that moves people, because emotions is a frequency of hormones. If I find their frequency of hormones, I can move that person to do something. And that's the science that we should be studying, in my opinion, as a producer community, because there's nobody in our way. Like when Ocean makes his software company, nobody in his way. If anything, he could sell it to Native Instruments or Akai and make a huge bag. If Jay Cactus wants to build out his education platform and multiply his coaching business, there's nobody in the way because you are working under the creator. There's no Sony, Warner, Universal above you. LLB, if you wanted to, I don't know your ultimate goal. What would you say your dream goal is?
Question. Kind of started off, I feel like it's the same for all of us. It kind of morphs over time. But yeah, honestly, long term, at the minute, I honestly don't know the answer to that question anymore. It's kind of like, it started off like I just want to get placements, produce, and then obviously the content stuff kind of took over, kit stuff kind of took over. And then it kind of changed a bit. And then now I'm just kind of in between the two. So yeah, long term, just trying to just produce for as long as possible. And then I'm not too fussed about money. As long as I can live off of it, I'm happy. That's kind of where I'm at.
Okay, so I can imagine you developing, you could be a Timbaland, metaphorically speaking, where you develop an Aaliyah, you develop a Justin Timberlake, you develop the next, you create from beginning all the way to the end, and you have your hand in the entire process. A Quincy Jones, some would say. And
R.I.P.
Yeah, rest in peace, man. That was. Rarely do I feel anything, you know, the R.I.P. post, but I was like, wow, Quincy Jones. Not that I was like sad, but it was just like, dang, like we're losing our musical heroes, our black heroes. Jay really said he is not getting beat up today.
Oh, there he is.
I'm back. I just had to refresh to get the camera back on, but we're live. We're here.
We're back.
Yeah, but the reason I use you guys as an archetype is because the people who follow you want to be you. So if I'm speaking to you, I'm speaking to them. And I don't mean to ever seem like I'm just being so direct with folks, but I've been in your shoes 1,000 times over. Like heartbreaks you've probably never felt in your life, loss you've never felt in your life. Has anybody in here lost $100,000 before? Probably not. You know, has anybody put up $50K to do music videos and then, you know, unlisted the music videos to save a relationship? Not save, but like, you know what I mean? To get into a relationship. So it's wasted money. Has anybody...
What happened with that? If you don't know, is that too personal?
Oh, no, it's not personal.
Yeah.
No, in 2018, I did the whole, hey, I'll show you guys how to do this. I did the Sharp thing, or I don't know who did it first, but whatever. I was like, I'll live stream an album. I'll make the songs, freestyle it, literally just freestyling on the mic. Wrote some stuff, but showed them how to make the album, the beats, everything, record, blah, blah, blah. Put out the album on, you know, DistroKid or TuneCore. Went everywhere, made music videos, flew to Miami, flew to LA, got all the women in the videos, spent a lot of money. Like I remember one gimbal to rent it for one day cost $2,000. One gimbal. So like I put a lot of money in travel.
I remember this music video too. I actually remember you doing it.
Hopefully nobody has any copies. No, I'm not. But I said I can't project this image because the reason I did all those was because I came out of a bad breakup, and so I was only trying to like cope with the fact that I was going through this crazy breakup. So I did all this stupid trying to be a man, thing with all these women around me. So did all these music videos, $50,000 later, and Gucci belts unneeded later that I donated anyway. I was like, what is the point of this? It's just making me look like a player. I just look like a pimp. Like, why am I doing this? It's not serving me any. Yeah, I got brand deals and funny enough, that actually works for brand deals. Like they care about the surface bullcrap. They don't even care about teaching people and the actual influence. They care about the surface level appearance stuff.
Yeah,
But and so I was like, I deaded everything. I made a decision. Decision means to cut off. D means of, decision means cut. Decision, to cut. So, if I'm, for example, when you guys get critiqued, because you will, you have to go through the fire. And, I had the Weaver Beats. You guys have seen Weaver Beats probably. Criticize me and his audience criticize me and put me under the fire. But I would rather sacrifice and decide not to serve those 900 people and to serve the other 900,000. Why would I focus on 50,000? Even if it's his whole audience, 50,000 people, why would I chase those people if I have to serve 950,000 other people? We have to decide at some point. We have to polarize in order to gather our tribe. If we're always trying to serve both people, +1 - 1 equals 0. And so we get nowhere. So we have to be the salt of the world, metaphorically speaking. And that's why I talked about that guitar metaphor, which is if I hit the string of a guitar, it sends energy through the saddle onto the soundboard into the cavity. The reason it amplifies, meaning getting louder in volume, is because that string frequency matched the frequency in the saddle, which matched the frequency in the soundboard, which matched the frequency in the cavity. And because they all matched and resonated their natural frequencies, that's why +1 + 1 + 1 equals 3. So you're +1, even though we feel small, as long as we resonate with people, that's how it actually amplifies and grows. So that's why I urge you guys, please try it at least. I know LLB said he tried it, but please try it.
Yeah.
On a search-based channel too. It is long-term investing, but I want you guys to just try the non-pro level stuff.
We'll give it a go.
Can guarantee you're going to have a different resonation point. And you could look at my channel and say, okay, he's not doing, I'm telling y'all, forget everybody else. I have 6,000 videos. It's 2 million views a month. 780,000 long form. I think 1.2 million shorts. That's just YouTube. TikTok is like 1.2 in the last 90 days. Instagram is 1.1 million views in the last 30. So and I'm converting these people to the email list. So what more example do you need as a person who figured out this business model?
Yeah, I guess another good thing about that type of content is you're able to pump out so many videos, aren't you? And it feels like
that's what I was just about to ask.
Rarely edit. Like when I'm recording a video, man, I fuck up my words a lot. I have to go back and re-say things. But it seems like because you've been doing it for so long, you're very articulate and you could just hit record in 20 minutes. You haven't even stumbled on a word or anything, and then boom, it can be uploaded. So I bet that allows you to upload so much content.
Yeah, Busy, you should come to the UK and you'll see why we edit our videos.
Yeah. It's like
it takes us so long. Honestly, it's ridiculous. It's
I'll tell you this, because you gave me a good point earlier. Podcast. Would you listen to a podcast if every minute it cut out and you're like, what were they talking about? It cut out and just jumped ahead. You would hate it because you're like, what did they leave out? But now Love Island, if you tried to watch Love Island and it wasn't edited, you'd get what's called the unseen bits episodes, which suck. And it made me hate the season. So that's why I said there's two types of content. There's interruption-based entertainment, and then there's educational-based long-term search volume. To be somebody who serves mastery, we need to demonstrate the mastery, and we need to go to that second tier, which is search-based, unfortunately. The tutorial stuff, it sounds boring, but that is what connects the bridge. And I think that's where a lot of people are.
So Busy, you mentioned your email funnel. Can you break that down for us? Like, do you have a few different funnels? Are you mainly sending people to like one list and trying to push some sort of subscription, or how does it work in the back end?
Yeah, in short, I used to have the whole automated thing and all that, but I realized I still have to be current with the automated stuff. So like at the end of the day, they're still getting current emails, like day-to-day emails. So long story short, people sign up for 3 things: FL Studio, music theory, mixing. Everything else is just a side quest. So I tell people, hey, you want to learn about FL Studio, whatever, go to busyworksbeats.com/FL Studio. And I have my stuff that I give away for free. I taught this lesson in Producer Royalties live stream, but I'll keep it short here. is that subconsciously people add a value to their email contact. So you guys probably never give up your good email unless it's something you really want. And so let's say that value is $15. If we're not at least giving people something worth $15, they're not going to give us their email, let alone their good email. So we have to give them something that's equal or greater than in order to transact, because transaction happens when value supersedes the price. So when we're giving away stuff to incentivize people to sign up, not only do we have to give away stuff that's more than, we also have to promise that we're going to take them somewhere. And that's where people are not creating that image of, hey, we're going somewhere. You know, it's, hey, like, I like Simon Servita. Where are we going though? You know, and I'm not putting this on Simon. It's because I tried to follow the Love Island people. I was like, yo, let me follow Ty because he's cool. And then like some other people from Love Island. I was like, why am I following these people? They're not going anywhere. They're cool. They're entertaining, but they're not leading me anywhere. Mm-hmm. And so I unfollowed them very quickly. And yeah, to answer your question about the email funnel, 3 buckets. And whatever content, I figure out which bucket is relative to that bucket. So I say, okay, I'm making stuff about Drake melodies. Okay, go to busyworksbeats.com/FL Studio to get the project files for free. So now what I'm doing in the video, they're incentivized to go to download the project file. They also get a bunch of other stuff. It's so much stuff. I think it's like a terabyte of stuff in there. It's a lot of stuff. And so, you know, that's the value that they get for signing up. And my ultimate thing is just for them to trust me. I just want them to trust me that we're going somewhere. That's it. I don't like upsell them on premium or whatever. I do that through like my day-to-day emails, but I don't do that automated. I think that's good. But one thing I will say, is I had to learn this. Instead of different email lists, I'll tag people based on where they come from. So instead of creating this list, that list, this list, like I'll have one list of music producers and I'll tag them based on where they come from. So try tagging as opposed to different lists.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I don't do the whole, like, he probably has heat maps and freaking like sub segments. I just don't think it's that, I mean, maybe, but I just don't think it's that complex. Like, in this world, I just don't think it, but maybe it is.
I used to have a number of different ones, but for the most part now, I just have everyone that comes through one main one, really, and it's just like a free bundle I give out that has like a bunch of loop kits, drum kits, so that for the most part, I'm sending people there, and then if I drop like a new kit, for example, it might be a different landing page, but yeah, to be fair, like they kind of got me to simplify things instead of making it overcomplicated and having like 10 different lists like that. It was like, just bring everyone through this one thing, tag them based on how they got there, and then that can tell us how to contact them. So it sounds pretty similar, to be honest.
Yeah, I like your strategy. Like, build a waiting list, launch a thing. Another waiting list, launch a thing. And then the way we keep people around is our Discord and our memberships. That's how I keep people around. Don't worry about the email list keeping people around. That's just to get them in the door. I don't look at email like a retaining thing. I look at it as a getting the people in the front door. And
so does your membership include all of your courses, kits, and like what do people get with your membership?
Yeah, I'm not here to promote any. I want to be clear.
No, of course.
People, he's shilling and he's
no, that was me asking. That's not it's not you.
No, it's just people. They just are so skeptical. Yeah, I have a large catalog. I have over 68 music production courses, which are hours in length. And so that's, I'm giving people the why. Everybody has different questions though. So you have to be spread. Like, what books are you guys reading right now?
That's one thing I wanted to ask you, actually, because I know you read a lot. Before you left, I was going to ask you what your top 3 books were that you'd recommend to people. But right now, the one I've got going on at the moment is Sapiens. I kind of float between like business books, sometimes fiction, but I'm more like non-fiction. Right now I'm reading Sapiens, but I've got a big list of ones I need to get through. How about you?
I'm curious about everybody else. I hate to hog a combo. I just had so much to tell y'all, never a chance to say it. But yeah, I'm curious if you guys are reading anything. LL Cool J, LL Cool B.
I'm kind of listening to How to Think Like an Emperor. It's a book about stoicism.
Like an emperor. Damn. Taking over LA.
To be honest, it's not that interesting. It's a bit dull, but it's got some cool concepts.
But this shows earlier my greater point, now I'll be sorry, is Ocean's motivation is power. One of your leading motivations is power. That's why he collabs with everybody. What do you do when you collab with Jay? You instantly get access To how many subscribers do you have?
Me,
Yeah,
um,
Jay.
200?
278K.
Just 200?
270K plus Ocean's. How many do you have?
Just hit 500.
Woo! 500 plus 270. That's near a million, basically. And all we had to do was collab, and then LLB inserted into that group. So when Ocean's collabing with this character, that character, his power base is growing. He's built and designed, and probably in our genetics, is to rule. Okay, and that's why a lot of his motivation seems to be power. And how do you gain power? You gain leverage. How do you gain leverage? You gain the advantage. How do you gain the advantage? Is when you have something that the other side does not have, supply and demand. So as long as the other side demands whatever we have, we need to gain that supply. And that's how we continuously gain power. Sorry, LB, I didn't mean to cut you.
To be
No,
fair,
it's
though,
all good,
I would
man.
actually disagree with the power as a motivator. I'd say my motivation is probably more freedom. The freedom to just
I
be
love
able
that.
to do and be whatever. I've actually done like a couple of tests. I recommend it. I think I might have talked about it before.
Yeah,
It was
you
like
spoke to me about it.
I
Ty
talked about
Lopez thing.
I've talked about the dopamine one, the test based on hormones, and I actually scored like really high on the dopamine one, which makes sense. But there's another good one which is questions which kind of breaks down what's your motivation. So there's one for money, there's one for status, there's one for love and relationships, and there's one for freedom. And usually you might have a combination of some, or it's more like a spectrum rather than you're just motivated by one. For example, like you might be motivated by love and money, but less so than status or something like that.
Yeah.
But it was interesting just because a lot of people think it's one thing and get to the top of that and realize it's not. So, for example, like people who are really motivated by money get to the top and realize actually they just wanted money so they could have the family and the girl. Or having the status, buying the Ferrari, buying the watch, only to realize actually I just wanted a good girlfriend. Or
Yeah.
getting all the money just to realize actually I just wanted the freedom. So it's kind of like a
Yeah.
spectrum. But I definitely recommend people to take that test.
Oh, I
What's
love
the
that
name of the
because
test?
Sorry.
Say that again?
What's the name of the test, just so people can find
I
it?
think it's 4 M's. I think it's 4 M's or something like this. But if you just type in like my motivation test or something like that, you could probably find
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, because what he's speaking on is that we humans are either dopamine dominant or serotonin dominant. Serotonin dominant wants to sit and build. Dopamine dominant wants to conquer. And so that's why I said in your DNA, you're literally here to conquer and, in my opinion, gain power so that you don't have to answer to any man and you can be free. Can we truly be free if we don't have control over our lives? I would say no. What makes Donald Trump get away with all these felonies as opposed to the dude in the hood who got the same amount of felonies? He's locked up for life, whereas Donald Trump's walking free as the president. It's power. That's the only difference. But LB, I didn't mean to cut your thoughts. I love that Ocean studies this stuff too.
Yeah. No, what was that? Where was we? I can't remember where we were.
You were
Was
going to
it
say what
books?
book you were reading. You went to grab one, I think.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's this one. It's not really a book, it's just like a list of stuff.
Oh, one of my
Mental
friends is
tough.
reading this. He always puts it on his Instagram story.
Mm.
It's like
Yeah.
little lessons, right?
Yeah, yeah. So it's like very short, like 1 page, 2 page max. Just like, yeah. But, yeah, I've literally done like 3 pages of it. I hate reading, so, and there isn't an audiobook version of it, so yeah, I'm slowly getting through it.
Right, you mind putting it up one more time? Because this goes back to the
Yeah,
lesson
sure.
of those 5 motivations we talked about. This is a social status motivator. Secrets of the world class. What is class? A segment of society. Social status hierarchy. LB talked about earlier how he wants to work with artists and the whole gamut. That's a social status motivator. So his audience, if you want to naturally resonate with them, you would talk about that more so. In my opinion, Ocean's audience, to talk about power is kind of tricky, but I guess strategy. I would have to think about that, how to communicate power to an audience. That's interesting. Now, Jay, I'm still trying to figure out. He's hard to read because he reads fiction. So I don't know. I don't know what
Not much, to be honest. I'd say it's mostly non-fiction, but when I say like fiction, it would have to be like some of the classics. Like one of my recent ones was 1984. Like something I like to read something like mind blowing, but most of the time, if I'm reading, it's going to be something non-fiction.
Okay, I'm mistaken. I'm mistaken. Forgive me on that one. It's 1984. So that's like dystopian.
Yeah, I liked. I, what I do is like if I'm listening to a podcast with someone that I like or trust, I usually get recommendations. Like I need to read a book based off a recommendation rather than just picking up something random. So I've got like a huge list on my phone with things that I need to read, but now and again I'll read fiction just because it's a bit easier to read and get through. But most of the time it's non-fiction. I always feel like if I'm reading, I want to better myself somehow. Like I want to learn something, study something. So that's why it's usually like some form of business book, self-help book. Um, but yeah, it just so happens at the moment I'm reading *Sapiens*, which is non-fiction, I guess, but it's not really a business book in that sense.
Yeah, because ultimately, when we find our true natural frequency, our true identity, we can be ourselves and have what's called congruity with our audience without trying to put on
Yeah.
this fake persona to be another frequency.
Hmm.
And when you do that, you multiply. When you stand on who you are truly, you multiply other people on that same frequency. That's why I keep harping this whole thing. But yeah, Ocean,
Yeah.
that's the reason why Ocean has the most subscribers out of this podcast hosts is because, in my opinion, he's a conqueror by birth. So, we just need to feed into who we are to the core. And so,
Mm.
I know I talked a lot and I'm surprised my son didn't wake up right now. But,
You didn't say what books you was reading, and
oh,
and
you know what? I'm so sorry. I read books based on like so right now, this sounds weird, but I'm reading a physics book, because I
Mhm.
want to learn, electricity so that I understand voltage capacitors and all this so that I can potentially, uh, understand how to translate that into code to make like, uh, what do you call them? FX plugins and stuff, or guitar pedal or something
Mm.
like that. DIY type electronics. I'm reading. I'm on my thing looking. So if you see me staring in the screen, that's why. So yeah, physics right now, actually, funny enough.
You're
But
getting deep into it at the moment.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, I went to school for pre-med. So like I'm a scientist at the root and then everything else. Like that's why I'm so about the data and the data and the data. I'm like, we could have hearsay all day long. What's the facts say? What do the numbers say, I should say? The data
What
say.
would be your top three books to recommend to us?
For you each, I would say Ocean. I got because you're different personalities. For
Hmm.
Ocean, I would say Robert Cialdini's Influence. I would say there's a game called Civilization Revolution for console and for iPhone. That game will teach you more than any book, in my opinion. I would say Ready, Fire, Aim by Michael Masterson. And I would say uh, the 16 Success Principles of, I forget what it's called, The Law of Success by Napoleon Hill. Those are going to give
Mm.
you, in my opinion, the conqueror type approach to life that gives you the actual keys. For LLB, who wants to um, be, in my opinion, social status motivated, we need to have good communication skills. So in that case, I would study books on like psychology. Again, Robert Cialdini is the core, but then also understanding communication. There's a book by, um, or excuse me, there's a course, and people are going to call me Scientology. F them, I don't care. So there's a course that's for free on the internet called Scientology, the Art of Communication or something like this. And it teaches you communication is not just talking at people. Like you live, I don't know if you live with your girl, Jay.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I do.
That's why he got the camera, cut the mic, got everything. No, I feel you. She might be in the kitchen or something like this. We're in a studio. We're like, hey, babe. Or
It's
no,
very
we'll be like,
assumptive.
you're like, turn that down or something. Assumptive, yeah.
But she is, yeah, she is.
No, yeah, not like, not saying that we belong in the kitchen. I just mean she'll be in a different room and then we'll be like, we'll tell them something. And then we're waiting on a response and we don't hear anything. And so we're like, oh, F them, man. They're just acting like they don't hear me. But they truly just did
Yeah.
not hear us. And in the communication course, it tells us to address them by name until they reply. And then we communicate once we understand
Right.
that they're paying attention. So that's part of communication people don't understand is that just because we're saying something does not mean somebody heard it. And doesn't mean somebody comprehended it either. So that course for LLB. But also LLB, in my opinion, if I were him, I would focus on persuasion, persuasion, persuasion. There's a chat GPT. It's called a GPT called the Negotiator. And what I would do is just figure out what I'm trying to build and figure out all the friction points about what my customer would say. And if I don't have an answer for the friction points, I need to go fix that. So that will give me a concrete answer to. Ocean probably knows this because he's dopamine based, and I know he gets around all these countries with these girls. I already know. I can tell by the way you
should have seen him in Amsterdam.
I know that because but basically he's gone through so many conversations. I would assume that he has an answer for everything a girl could potentially think of. She's like, big black man, okay, and instantly scared of us for some reason, okay, or I don't even know what girls even say because I'm not on the dating scene, but you probably have an answer for every rejection or every no that they have until they get to a yes. Damn. And I mean that metaphorically speaking. So to learn that we have to go through.
It's forceful like your Ocean.
Forceful?
This podcast is making me sound like the next Diddy or some shit, man. No,
not literally. Tapes of everybody, Jake Cactus. That's funny. But yeah, so I would say LLB though, it's really about osmosis and understanding tribal mentality. So there's the last book I would say, Social Code. Understand the tribes, in-group, out-group psychology, if I were him. And then for Jay, I mean, I would really, sorry to like over talk it. I would really see, because you haven't multiplied yourself, even though you're doing it here, you don't own the equity of an Ocean or an LLB. So I would be curious, and I know you're open to collab, but I'd be curious if you have an underlying trust issue. Like myself, I'm excellent at what I do, but I've been burnt so many times by people I tried to lift up. I stopped trusting people where I literally have a trauma of trust. And that's stopping me from creating entropy, which is the law of the universe. So I'm actually breaking the law of the universe by my trauma, my traumatic response. And so I'd be curious if you had, an underlying trust issue for other folks. And that's the reason why you're not multiplying right now. I'd be curious. I don't know. ChatGPT.
I think it might be more something like, I think I find it hard to rely on people. So yeah, I guess it's some form of like trust, isn't it? Like, for example, sometimes you want something done rather than hiring the right person for it. You always think, I'm just going to do it myself. Like, I can get it done quicker myself. I know what I'm doing. I'd rather just do that than explain it to someone and wait for them to catch on. So maybe that's some form of it.
Oh, big facts. You articulated that way better. That's exactly it. It doesn't, and the reason why we don't address it is because it doesn't come off like trust. It comes off like, oh, I'm just strong. I'll do it myself. But it's actually a flaw of our character. And so the books I would recommend for that is simply books that redefine scaling. And I know this is going to sound so boring, but there's a book called E-Myth by Michael Gerber. And the only way to escalate out of where we are is to hand it off to somebody else. The only way. So I can't say I want a better life, bigger house, $1 million a year, a month, if I don't create that system. And that's the truth of the matter. Mm-hmm. And so if I'm just going against the truth, then that's a me problem. But the problem is we don't want to get hands off because it's the fun of it is being hands on, making the beats, doing the video editing, because it creates busyness to make us feel purposeful. When we're hands off, we become the manager. It's not as fun. Now we're just like dealing with people emotions. And then when we're an entrepreneur, we create the systems that are automated. Now it's really not fun because everything's done for me and I don't have to do anything. It's not fun anymore. So that's the part that you probably struggle with too, I would assume. And somebody like that, I would say there's a book by Michael Gerber called E-Myth. And there's another book called The Basics of Organization by L. Ron Hubbard in the Church of Scientology. It's not a Scientology book. It's just teaching structure. It's called and it's made somebody $100 million business. So it definitely works. So yeah, that's what I would recommend.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, definitely going to tap into them.
All right, guys, that was your unwanted therapy session. I appreciate you guys. Coaching and therapy. No, I just appreciate you guys. Keep rocking. And I can honestly see you guys' future. It's just a matter of being aware of your future. But to Ocean, there is more love out there. I guarantee, even if we feel like there's no love in the world, I guarantee when you're not looking for anything, that's when you'll find it. To LLB, it's just a matter of you standing on polarity, to stand on something a little bit stronger, to offend people on purpose. And to Jay, I would say we got to deal with that trust issue. But that's just my synopsis. I'm going to head out because I got to wake my son up, y'all.
Yeah, we appreciate your time, man. Yeah, thanks a lot. Appreciate it for having me. Good talking.
For sure. Thank you.
Peace, bro.
Take care, man.